everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with Stephanie podcast. My name is Stephanie Bucklin. I am your host, and I am delighted to be interviewing my friend Bonnie today. Bonnie, how are you? Thank you for joining me.
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So please do give our audience an introduction, who you are, what you're up to, and what kind of magic you're bringing into the world.
Okay. Ooh, magic in our world. I'm happy to sprinkle that fairy dust all over the place. Yes, I am Bonnie Rigsby. I have a lot of different titles. Some people call me Bionic Bon, Director of Sunshine, the woo-woo, woo-hoo girl, whatever you want to call me. I am the owner of Let Your Soul Breathe. So I help people learn to love themselves again. So I try to help people transform from a state of overwhelm to a state of peace by tapping into their authenticity. I believe a lot of people on this planet are miserable because our culture has told them to fit in a box and be exactly like everybody else. And I think people are miserable, and we're supposed to be in our own skin, shining authentically. So that creates a lot of stress when we're not in our authentic selves, because it's a lot of pressure. So people come to me to try to kind of find themselves again. I love what I do. I have a hodgepodge of things that I do, and I'm a lifetime student. So I'm constantly learning new things, bringing new tools to the table under my stress management umbrella, because, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Everybody handles things differently. I want to make sure I'm continuously finding new ways to help people with stress, with the goal of helping empower people to handle it themselves so that they don't have to come to me forever. I'm a bridge, right, to help you get there. So I teach, I coach. I love helping people tap into their little healing abilities.
Beautiful. I think the reason that we connected originally is because your message resonated so deeply with me. I am a love warrior and I'm all about self-love, and we have the same message almost. Wow.
Yes, I love it. Like mine.
So what is your why, Bonnie? Why did you get into this work?
Oh my gosh, I have so many reasons, but one really stands above because it's really the predominant kind of theme of what motivated me, or my catalyst to move. I've always wanted to do this work. I've always done this work, without having a business, just my whole life, just helping support other people, hold people up. But it wasn't until my dad passed of lung cancer, and it's been like 11, 12 years now, that a light just went off. And I went, Bonnie, what the hell are you doing? You need to do this. Because here's the reason that was my catalyst. I believe that my dad was one of the most stressed out people I ever met. It's hard raising children and being the breadwinner and the pressures of society and the unfairness and all this stuff. So I watched him as I grew up being fiercely stressed and not knowing how to handle it. And as I've educated myself as a healer energy over the years, I have learned definitively in the medical community, it's proven stress is a killer. Yeah. It can create cancer, heart disease, depression, you name it. Yeah. And I believe it's one of the number one killers in our world. And I believe that's part of what happened to my dad. And so I thought, as much as I know he suffered in the lung cancer, I felt like it shouldn't have happened that way. And I didn't want anyone else to ever have to suffer again. If there was a chance, I could be a little drop in the ocean to just kind of help them understand or shift perspective in a way that feeds their soul instead of robbing from their soul. So my dad's passing and his suffering literally is the catalyst for what I do. And my dad loves steam trains. So I use a lot of references in the business, come ride the peace train and all these different things, because I always want to honor where I came from, the people who raised me, the battles that they've been through, just to try to kind of help other people not have to go through the same battle. So I'm excited every day to be able to live in my dad's honor, and anyone else who's left this world doesn't have an opportunity to do. I want to help others kind of clear the past so that they can do them and
that's so
step
good.
into whatever their authentic purpose is. If you're
Yeah.
miserable and you're stressed, you're never going to find your purpose because you're not in your soul's calling, right? So
Yeah.
let's get you behind that curtain, put that in the background, and then everybody has their purpose again. Woohoo, woo woo. Oh, just
Awesome. So we were planning to talk about being or not being the glue of your family, and you've got some recent experience to share about that. So let's
yes.
dive into this. Let's talk about first, like, what does it feel like to be the glue of a family?
Hey, you know what? Like the weight of the world is on your shoulders continuously, 24/7.
Talk about
It really
stress.
does feel that way. And excuse the frog in my throat as it's coming out. But yes, it literally feels like worse than an elephant sitting on your chest, just the pressure of always feeling like you're the one people count on to fix whatever they have going on in their world. I
Yeah.
learned long ago how wrong I was to do that when I was younger because of my big heart. I thought it was part of my responsibility to handle things. But I've learned since, how dare I think that? Like I have that kind of power. You know what I mean? Really, what it comes down to is just learning and growing and maturing into my own skin. And just, I've never been an egotistical kind of person. It wasn't like that. But in a way, I was tapping into that ego of, oh, I can help them fix that, or whatever it is. You know, starting back with my first marriage, I was married to an addict. And so I had that energy very heavily then of I knew what was going on with him, but I can help, right? I can help fix this. Mistake. Not what I'm supposed to do, right, Elle? So I have learned the hard way it is not a good thing to do. Now, being a person that cares and giant heart, it's really hard to turn that energy off when you've lived it your whole life, right? But as someone that really cares about constantly looking in the mirror, fixing myself, which is the only thing I'm responsible for doing, right? To make myself better and my purpose to help others. When I'm constantly doing that, lights come up on, things I'm not quite doing right in the moment. And then I work with myself very playfully to kind of work through that energy and make it better. One of the things is guilt. I was raised on guilt.
Yeah.
And so that kind of tapped into the big heart of mine and was kind of like the worst thing I could have had, because then it's like nothing makes me feel worse than if I feel like I hurt somebody else and then I'm guilty for it, right? And then that triggers me because that makes me feel like, oh, you weren't the glue, you weren't strong enough, you didn't do enough, you didn't fix it. Okay, shame on you. So now you got to beat yourself up. It's this whole cycle. I've worked many years on that guilt and have done exceptionally well the last few years. However, to your point earlier, this just shows the human experience, y'all. I do this stuff for a living. I know better. Triggers are my responsibility, no one else's. Okay.
Yeah.
Even with all of that practice and knowing, I had to go back home for a month to help care for my mom, which I'm very privileged to be able to do for the last month. And as part of that very scary, difficult situation, stress on steroids, y'all, 24/7, 24/7. I mean, it was so bad. I won't even go there. Like there were things that I forgot to do that I would never forget to do because you get in that stress thing so much. Well, as I was there very quickly, I felt myself being triggered. I felt the same guilt weapon that was used on me growing up being used on steroids, making me feel bad for all that I wasn't doing versus what I was doing. And again, that big anvil of pressure just sitting on top of you again. I'm like, wait a minute. I stepped out of the glue of the family. No, 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 no. You can't do that. But here it comes. Here it comes, right? And, sibling triggers, all the things that we have with our beautiful families that, you love them to death, but we drive each other crazy sometimes,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Everybody has perspectives. Everybody thinks something should be done differently. And when you have an ill family member, the big heads come in, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
you're kind of dealing with all that navigating. And as such, I found those glue triggers coming right back up. And so this is for all of you out there who may feel like, people in the healing industry are immune to that because, oh, you're just peace, love, and sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Baloney, y'all. We all have to deal with it. And I practice this. I'm very good at it, yet I'm still susceptible. The good news is when you practice as much as I do, and you know what to look for, you can catch yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that's a magic wand, but it does mean, hey, awareness is the first step. Okay, yes, I'm being triggered. Oh, crap. I got to work on this again because this is ugly. I can't let this get out of hand. So I'm going to work on this inner child wound again, and again, and again, until I continue to remind myself it is not my job to be the glue of this family. Everyone has their responsibility within it, wherever they choose to be. I am going to be a loving support system to my family because that's who I am, and it's who I've always been. However, I'm reminding myself with my perspective and my little light switch thing that I do, my antenna, that it is not my job to fix you or anybody else. It is my job to not take things personally, understand people are coming from a place of pain when they say and do what they do, and to just work on this girl here.
Yeah.
And when I work on this girl here, even with my triggers, I create better realms in the universe for everyone, I believe.
Absolutely.
Hope that helps just to kind of get the conversation started.
Yeah. I think something that I was thinking as you were talking is we constantly revisit experiences in our lives, and I've seen memes about this where life is like a spiral where you're constantly coming back to the same lessons but with new eyes, new perspective.
Yes.
So every time you have this trigger, you're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, hopefully a little bit more educated on how to fix yourself when you do get triggered. I'd love to talk a little bit about getting triggered and like, how do you, what is the question I want to ask? How do you recognize the trigger and stop yourself? Do something about it. So what is the action attached to that?
Well, a lot of times it's the thoughts. If you can shift the thoughts quickly, our thoughts drive everything, our whole experience. So it's capturing that thought. Now, for someone like me who has been doing this for a long time, I've done a lot of what I'd call the foundational work. So, for example, way back in the day, I would kind of do my own brainstorming to learn more about my unique skin, my unique levels of stress, how I handle them as an individual, and what certain emotions create certain kind of physical reactions. I'll give you an example. So to me, that's a good place to start for all of you out there.
Oh, yeah.
Is to tap into maybe doing it like a little like checklist, diary, wherever you want to call it, like a stress diary, where let's say for 5 days straight, you have a few columns set up and you say, okay, at 1 o'clock on this day, I felt extreme stress. And when I felt it, my head hurt all of a sudden, or my shoulder felt tense, or whatever the case may be. You kind of note when you're stressed, what you feel, how you feel. And if you have an emotion attached to it, okay, I feel angry. Oh, and my face is flushing and I feel hot. Over time, as you write this down for say 5 days straight, you learn your patterns. And so I use that example because one of my patterns was when I would be at a corporate job and I'd be working on something, and I'm a very proactive person. I'd go out of my way to make sure this doesn't happen or that doesn't happen. And then it happens because somebody else is doing something and then they're deflecting something on you and you get this angry Graham email. Well, the second I'd open the email, I'd go, right. And I could just feel my cheeks like, and my shoulders going up like this. And so I'd be doing my stress diary. I would write things like that. Okay. Angry, face flushing, shoulders tense, whatever. Do that for a period of 5 days. After that, you can go in with fresh eyes and realize when I'm angry, this is what my body does. When I'm sad, this is what my body does. When I'm this is what my body does. So this is old stuff that I've done a long time ago. And
Yeah, this is powerful work though.
It really is, because it gives you a window into your stress management. What is one of your buttons? So at least with that awareness, that initial awareness built within, once you've done that work and you're going about your day and you start to feel something, you can explore that thought and feeling and go, I feel my face flushing. Am I angry? What could have made me angry? Okay, let's really look at this, right? It's part of the awareness. Now, part of that awareness is the mindset. If you can constantly be in the mindset of catching yourself when something changes, like all of us, kind of go through our life. Sometimes it feels robotic. You're just kind of marching along. But then all of a sudden, you have this weird feeling that you didn't have a few minutes before that. Or maybe it's because somebody walked in the room close to your space. Or maybe it's because you're getting an intuitive hit from somebody. Maybe it's because you got something on your energy body. I don't know. But going through exploration of your own experience helps you tap into, what is my stressor? Do I recognize it when it happens? What does it feel like? So then, for example, when I went back east and I could feel like my breathing constricting and my face feeling tight, I knew instantly, you're letting that anger back up. You're letting it up, like put your shoulders down. When you feel it and it's different, there's a disturbance in the force, so to speak, then you can jump in and do something about it. And the thing to do something about is the mind. Instead of letting it tell you, oh yeah, I'm going to go back to that pain. You're going, no, we're done with that. Nope. Remember, we handled that guilt before. We handled that anger before. I'm going to put you aside and I'm going to be an outside observer. I'm not taking that package back. I already took you back to the store. Right? You can start dealing with it. So I hope that helps the example of the stress diary.
Yeah, that's an awesome example.
Putting
I've never heard of that
out there. Yeah, it literally gives you a picture of your tendencies so that you can catch yourself in your tendencies and then manage them. Because if you don't know what they are, how are you going to manage them?
Yeah, I mean, the clarity of that reflection of like, I felt anger. This is what my body did. This is how I felt in that moment. Like that is powerful work. That is awesome. Thank you. I was thinking about my past and how I started to recognize triggers. I was in my 20s. I recognized that I had a very negative, like self-deprecating pattern where I would do self-abuse internally. And then I would end up saying something really nasty to somebody else because I felt like crap inside. So I was like, okay, I understand aversion therapy. I understand that I can change my behavior. So I don't have to constantly berate myself and treat myself so badly. I'm going to put a rubber band around my wrist and I'll snap it every time I hear a negative thought in my head. And it was powerful. It really made a difference in how I perceive myself, how I perceive those negative thoughts, the self-deprecating ones, the I hate myself, I'm ugly, I'm, all of that yucky stuff. I started to recognize that I was the one creating the negativity. And actually, if I could stop that and start to move in the direction of self-love, move in the direction of I have value, I can bring positive energy to any environment, I can be the light in a space, I don't have to be mean to myself. In fact, I really shouldn't be because it hurts me every time I am. So, can I call myself sweetheart? Can I call myself love? Can I interact
Yes.
with myself gently? And oh my God, the power that that had of
Yeah.
being the love, being the light, and allowing myself to just settle with
Mhm.
those internal battles, I
Mhm.
could start to see how everyone else does the same thing.
Yeah.
And oh wow, the message of self-love just came through me so loudly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I applaud you because that's such a difficult thing to do. And we've all
It
been
is.
there. And our
Yeah.
culture eats it, unfortunately. They
Oh, big
feed
time.
into a lot of it. And, and I think that adds to the challenge of people in this day and age, especially our young people growing up with all the social media and everything. I mean, our culture a lot of times influences people, pressures them to be dramatic, to put their stuff out there, to feel like crap so that they can sensationalize it. And then it becomes a big, ugly thing. So being able to fight past that beast and be able to love yourself like you had is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And really it is a constant revisiting. You know,
Mhm. Yes.
every time I'm in a social situation, I revisit the I'm not good enough wound, and I have to either face the demon and do something, or I allow the trigger to affect me and I go and hide. And you know what? I've learned that even no matter what I do, if I have to go and hide, it's okay. I don't have to berate myself then because I've screwed up somehow. I can choose. Every day is a choice,
Absolutely.
So let's get back to being the glue or not being the glue. Would you say that choosing to not be the glue after you have been the glue in the family, do you think that's a difficult process for your family
Yes.
members?
Oh, everybody. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's
Right? Because you
difficult
build
for
an
everybody.
expectation, right?
Yes, yes. And I've even noticed years ago when I started to do this, it's like, oh, what? You're gonna pull back? Like, no, you can't pull back because I'll depend on you. And see, that's part of the whole guilt feed that fed that loop for so long is every time I had tried to do it before, I would get pushback. So then I went, oh no, I must be doing something bad because I'm getting pushback, right? So then I would pull back. But I finally got to the point where I really truly understood no matter how much they react to it, that's because I'm pulling the crutch from under them and they've got to handle their own business. So I got to handle my own business too. I'm not a stranger to it and I'm willing to do so, but I can't handle your business and my business, not
Yeah.
my job.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
how do
been
you
hard for the family. It still is.
yeah. How do you navigate those conversations? Like because
They're
you have
not
to say
easy.
something, right?
You do, yeah. And I've made it very clear with actions, with words over the years. But then when something traumatic happens within the family, I think a lot of us immediately just grab for comfort zones, right? It's human, right? So, for somebody who's sitting at home, that might be grabbing a pillow or a blanket. But for somebody in the family who's used to having someone who is so supportive and loving to the family, they're going to want to grab for me as the pillow. Oh, well, you're my soft landing, so you got to help me, right? No, not so much. Navigating the conversations is just ongoing. And like you said, it's a constant revisiting. I
Yeah.
love the way you said that because that's perfect for human experience.
Oh yeah.
Everything is a constant revisiting. You can think you had it taken care of years ago, but that little trigger might still be in a little micro thing like this, and then takes one thing to make it go and get huge again. So that's why mindset is everything. Because if you
Yep.
keep yourself in understanding we're getting in our own way by holding these negative thoughts, just to your point, right? That when you realized it was a negative thing that you were doing to yourself, talking to yourself, once we have that catcher where we can just catch it, then we can go, okay, all right, let's just reel myself in. Let's change the movie reel.
Right.
And let's not go on that one. Let's pick a new one, because this one hasn't served me so far. So I'm going to hop on a different train and go a different direction this time. It's mindset. It's always mindset.
Always
Mindset drives
mindset.
everything. Awareness, the intention, your why you do what you do. Like everything is about how we hold that energy in our mind.
Right, right.
Oh, the
So
nasty
I think
stuff. Ugh.
being the witness, this is the concept I learned when I studied Zazen meditation, so it's mindfulness meditation from Buddhism. And being the witness is literally, it's almost like we have separate selves within us. We have the ego, which likes to protect us. And then Freud talked about the id, which is the opposite of the ego, which would be like the witness. It would be like the one watching this whole movie that is life and perceiving what is really happening, and perhaps has a little bit more wisdom than the ego. You know, I also believe that we have a higher self, and that higher self, I think, communicates with that id self, that, you know, that witness. The higher self can't talk to the ego because the ego doesn't listen anyway. The ego is like, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And I think that becoming that witness is a process. It's not like you can do it overnight. You have to practice.
Yeah.
So there's some mindfulness in there, being mindful of your thought patterns, maybe some journaling. You mentioned journaling and writing down your stress triggers, but even recognizing when you're happy, recognizing when you're joyful, recognizing when you're blissful, what causes that, so that you know how to get back to it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
even
how do you
just,
think you developed your witness? How did you know that you needed to pay attention to what was going on in your mind?
I just think for so many years, it's been part of my practice, being a very fiercely spiritual person, always have been. I mean, from birth, I really have. You know, I have my religious side too, but I'm fiercely spiritual. I've always been open-minded to all the things everybody else called woo-woo. It was always my lane. So I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint things. It's hard to have to keep redoing things, but I've been doing it for so long that it's just become second nature. Now, they say that it takes about 14 days for us to create a new habit. So for folks that are just starting to practice this, if it's really hard in the beginning, trying to catch yourself, trying to figure out what you're feeling, whatever, understand it's normal when you change something or you try something new. But after about 2 weeks of doing it consistently, fighting through that hard stuff, then it becomes more second nature and habit. And then over the decades, like has happened with me, it just becomes like a shorter reach to grab a hold of it or to recognize it. I recognize it quicker because I've worked so long and so hard on squashing that beast.
Yeah.
Boy, when you make yourself a clean slate or you get back to zero, you can quickly feel when there's a disturbance in the force. For example, and I think you'll relate to this one too, Stephanie, because with nutrition, right? So for example, if you're vegan and you all of a sudden stop being vegan and you eat something that a vegan should not eat, it hurts, right? Because you've been clean for so long. And all of a sudden you eat something that doesn't fit in your wheelhouse. And then you go, ugh, I don't like that. It's the same thing as what I'm talking about, except for, the symptoms or the physical things are going to feel a little bit different, right? But it's the same kind of awareness that you would have if you were to eat something non-vegan and then go, ouch, my stomach hurts. Dang, maybe I shouldn't have that. Same thing with these thoughts. You got to feed
Recognizing the
yourself
ouch.
good thoughts,
Yeah.
just like you feed yourself the good nutrition, or it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're going to feel it when it hurts a lot more when you're on a clean slate than when you're not. When you don't work to get yourself on that clean slate, you're used to operating in that uck zone for so long, you just assume it's your normal zone. And so you just deal with it, suck it up and keep it moving.
Right.
That doesn't help
Pick
you.
it up, buttercup, right?
Exactly. We don't want that. That don't help nobody.
No.
We
Yeah.
all have to work to clear ourselves, because then you can catch yourself quicker. But if you're buried in that crap, it's going to be hard for you to recognize it. You're gonna spend your life going, no, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's their fault, it's all of their faults that I'm feeling like this. And you're not going to see in our own way, right? It's all up here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, this is such an important conversation, Bonnie. Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Oh, just giving people encouragement that, I understand, and I've met so many people, whether you're an empath or not, if you are a compassionate, soulful type person, a heart-driven person, a service person like I am, many people that I have met over the decades are so much like me with this fix it, being the glue of the family personality. It's that catch 22, of course, as a heart-driven person, you want to be able to help people and be of service, but you don't want to be a doormat, and you don't want to think you have the power to fix everything, because you'll never be able to fix everything. And then you'll live your life miserable because you'll think, I'm not good enough, which that feeds your childhood triggers. Again, saying you're not good enough because you didn't fix it. Well, I'm not supposed to fix it. Don't be the fixer, y'all. Not our job to fix anything but ourselves. Look in the mirror, work on that, and allow people to work on theirs and be there to support and love them. But try to take guilt out of the equation. If you are going through from your heart and you're putting every cell into loving and helping another human, you've done your part. You've done enough. No more fixing.
Yes.
And that to myself too.
Thank you.
Not a fixer. I'm a helper.
Beautiful. Okay, so how can people reach you, Bonnie?
Well, letyoursoulbreathe.com is my email, my website, or you can email me at letyoursoulbreathe@gmail.com. All of my contact info is on my website as well. I do have a Facebook and an Instagram. I'm not much of a social media person, but I got some presence for when I do open houses and things like that. I put it out there. And by the way, I'm working on my mastermind classes. So
Oh, awesome.
probably by early next year, my online classes will finally be up and running, where I can teach people how to rock their genuine vibe and all about their energy system.
Beautiful. And just
Uh-huh.
for clarity, next year would be 2024 in case somebody's
Yes,
thinking like in
2024.
2025,
Yes,
right?
2024.
Oh, thank you, Bonnie. Okay, so any final thought, any inspiration you'd like to share?
No, just thank you so much for having me, and thank you for bringing this wonderful topic up, because, it's so important for us to feel good about ourselves. We're doing enough, y'all. We're living from the
Yes.
heart. We're doing enough.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, have a wonderful afternoon, Bonnie.
I do the same. Thank you. Peace, love, and light, y'all.